panel up here will have a conversation with our filmmakers. We've got Amy Marquis, Darren Durlack, and the band is coming down as well. I'll just quickly introduce everyone. We have Amy Marquis, co-director of Confluence, also co-director of the National Park Experiences series, Die-Hard DC EFF fans. You might remember that in 2017 we had the honor of having the DC premiere of Canyon Song, 2017. We have Darren Durlack, cinematographer, as well as an Emmy award-winning photographer. And of course, we recognize David Carroll, Ben Barron, Sarah Noyce, three-quarters of the infamous Flapjack Affair. Amy, can you, this is the final film in the National Park Experiences series. Can you tell us a little bit about how it fits in with other films?
Sure. So, that better? Yeah. Okay, so I wish Dana, my co-director, could be here. She's in Boulder with her kids right now, but she's here in spirit. We started this series 5 years ago. I was just rotating off of my magazine work at the National Parks Conservation Association. I was an editor on National Parks Magazine for 9 years. And about 5 years before I moved off, I had started pushing film, and I saw the importance of all these stories that weren't being told in the national parks, representing people who aren't typically recognized as part of that outdoor national park experience space. So Dana and I set off in honor of the centennial in 2016 to share more of those stories. So that's where Canyon Song came into it. The first official film in the series was Love in the Tetons, about a Mexican-American couple getting married in Grand Teton National Park. And then Ben Barron kind of strode into our lives back in 2016, 15. So he came with this, amazing energy and this grand idea of his band traveling through the Colorado River Basin, hitting a bunch of national park units along the way and creating original music about the people that they meet. And we knew that their hearts were in the same places that ours were, to get more of these stories out and to share the space with a broader diversity of people, and through that filmmaking, hopefully to bring in a new generation of park lovers and protectors. So that's how it all came together, and I'm just so glad to have this opportunity to partner with this incredible band. Can I just say one thing real quickly that was not clear in the film? When we were pre-producing this, we had to get all the permits through the National Park system, which was a kind of a complicated process, and Canyonlands was especially strict. You're not allowed to have any instruments in there. There are no live performances allowed. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. No music. So I already had mad respect for this band before we set off on the journey. But when I saw what they pulled off in this national park where you're not allowed to have instruments, I was like, it blew my mind. Like that just really illustrated the immense talent that we were working with. So.
And Darren, obviously this seems like an incredibly fun project to be a part of. Maybe a little nerve-wracking to watch your friends teetering on the edge of a canyon, precariously balancing their instruments. But can you kind of tell us a little bit about how you filmed the project?
Sure. This was the hardest, easiest, most fun project in the world. Hardest because physically challenging. I think it was a Canyonlands in like 16 miles. So by the time we actually got to the point where they were doing the hand thing that Amy was talking about, my legs didn't really work. So, but this was just a pleasure. The whole thing was I'm grateful to have been asked by Amy to be a part of this and be accepted by the band. And this was probably This is probably one of the best experiences of my life, professionally and personally. I mean, it was just, yeah, how can you, a photographer, this is what you got to do. So, and everyone was really sincere, and it was lovely. I mean, I just pointed the camera at beautiful people and things, and that's all I did.
Fantastic. David, Ben, Sarah, I know everyone's probably curious about how you guys all came together and formed infamous Flapjack Affair. And I know that I'm curious to know if the environment has always been a part of the band and the work that you guys do.
That's a great question, and the answer is actually yes. Unfortunately, James, our fourth member, can't be with us tonight. He's traveling, which is heartbreaking. But he and I were the first band members to connect, and we connected because we were both in an environmental studies course at Oxford. So right away, just as we were talking about music and artists we liked, we were talking about environmental issues, grappling with complex theories, and the importance of the connection between people and place, and how people shape place, and how place shapes people, and how that changes when pressures and drilling and economics come into play, how that can force real tension. And so then Sarah lived in my house, and Dave I met at a sing-along, and everybody came together immediately, and we were off and running, but being outside was from the get-go really important to the experience of being in the band. And our first EP that we ever recorded, we chose the studio because they would let us pitch our tents in the back. It was very much part of it. And that EP was meant to be, this will be our final project, we've got to just get this done, and then we can have something to remember, and here we are 5 years later. So.
I know it must have been a really fun trip. Sarah, do you have any highlights from it, or a favorite national park, anything like that?
My favorite place is in fact Echo Park, which is in Dinosaur National Park, Monument, let's say so, which is great. We did, we kind of went around a campsite, and in fact we got together a bunch of people who were camping and did a big sing-along, which is really nice to know.
And David, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's next for the band.
Definitely. We spent a lot of the last few years sort of on different paths and different continents. A lot of we've always prioritized coming back in some form or another. This project, reunions like this, small tours just to keep flying. So we're going to do the same this summer. Actually, probably have the longest stretch of time we've had together, probably since we first played together in grad school, and we'll be in Boulder for a chunk of the summer. Writing an album, recording, playing some gigs and stuff.
That's great. We're going to turn it over to the audience for questions. We've got some mic runners in the back. They're wearing green aprons, so hold your questions until they get to you. While people are kind of thinking things over about that they might like to ask you guys, Amy, what's next for you? Are there any projects you're working on now?
Yeah, I have 4 films on my plate.
That's good. That's good for the festival.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good work. This is the last, as Sam said, this is the last film in the National Park Experience series, which has been a wonderful 5-year run. Both Dana and I have gained a ton of experience as filmmakers through this, and we have projects just pulling us in new directions, which is really exciting. So hopefully we'll be back in the next few years.
Great. Do we have any questions in the audience? See a hand over here.
Congratulations, it was fantastic to watch and beautiful to meet you all in person. I wonder what it was like being out in the space for your creativity, because it clearly was part of the film, the beauty of it, and how you came together. It seems like you came together. What was it like being out of these incredible open spaces for your creativity?
It was awesome. I think the purpose was to have some ideas before we went, but really just to be in inspired by placing people as we went along, and to have a good amount of time to just kind of hang out. And then RP, whilst driving 16 hours, or indeed run a campfire, but really sort of writing inspired by those releases. And so that's why a number of the songs are about that along the way, and we're trying to kind of connect certain ideas like water or forest through music.
Yeah, I would just add that there were moments of time crunch also, as you can imagine, and we shot this entire film in about 3 weeks. And so it was these incredible high moments of standing at Shoshone Point, sunset, Grand Canyon, playing music with my dear friends, and then waking up at 4 in the morning and driving to a 2-hour interview, and then getting lost in the RV, roaming off into the hills, and running out of gas, and then and you're exhausted, you're trying to nap in the back of the car, and you get to dinner, and you're like trying to think of interview questions for the person you're meeting, and then it's 8 p.m. and you're exhausted, and it's like, cool, now's the time we blocked out for you to write some music.
Do we have another question out in the audience? This gentleman right here.
Thanks, guys, for coming tonight. I was curious about the different characters you met along the way and how you met them, and any stories you get to see that were captured on camera. Just a little bit more about that.
It's an excellent question, and they were far and away the coolest part of this experience for me, meeting these fascinating people. We met all of them through what you might call the snowball effect. You ask one person who says, talk to that person, and that person recommends this person. For example, Amala, the National Park Ranger, recommended that we talk with Diana, the How to Survive Medicine Woman. And so in some ways it came together very organically, and in other ways, several people we intended to talk to didn't come through, and so it could have been this very different film. I guess the story that comes to mind is when we were in Moab. There is a brief shot of an elderly man who sat through our entire 3-hour set at this biker bar where everybody had either leather or tattoos or both. Needless to say, as the string band, we walked into this blues bar and thought, oh God, this will either go well or very poorly. And 3 hours later, this guy had sat in the front row the whole time. He comes up to us afterwards and says, my name's Lynn, you've got to come and see my rock shop. And we're like, great, we have the morning off, we'll come and see the rock shop. And we show up, and it's this unbelievable collection of dinosaur bones and geological specimens. Yeah, he had discovered a type of dinosaur, and he takes us in the back, and he's like, this is the coolest part. And he pulls back a curtain, and there's a bunch of monkey wrenches on the wall, and he said, these monkey wrenches belong to my friend Ed. He named a book after them. And at that point, we're kicking ourselves for leaving the cameras behind. It gives you a sense.
Any other questions out there? Oh, we have one in the back. Go ahead. If you want to ask the question, I can repeat it. Oh.
It's really kind of two-part. One, with your endowment, and there's already kind of part of the answer. Your experience in your itinerary and stuff, it's cool how it was created and the way things kind of work and evolve. It really became a beautiful experience. I mean, I've never seen this for my first time. The experience of it is just phenomenal. Really did well job. But now, after having seen it and seen the beauty of it all, the effect now, how has it been for you? I know it's just kind of beginning, and hopefully it'll nourish and blossom. But as your own personal satisfaction, how do you feel about what you've done and accomplished?
Hugely appreciate those kind of words. I guess everyone should maybe speak for themselves. I know for my part, it was a long project that we all care very deeply about, and it's an unbelievable joy to be able to share it with you all. And we worked hard to try to draw out themes that would remain timely and relevant, regardless from whatever political battle was happening day to day. And that theme that we are all connected to and created by our places, and that we all have tools that we can use to help those places really came through for me. So it's a joy to share.
I'd also just say, as someone who's not from America, I'm so inspired by a place like this, and I've definitely made plans to go back and spend more time out in the woods.
So I just add on, I think one thing we spoke a lot about going into it is this question about access. As you said, a lot of people, three of us hadn't been there, and of course the vast majority of people in our country don't get to go to a lot of these places. So there's a lot in that part of it, trying to use film to help give some kind of access to people from all over all walks of life. But also, and it's hard to, we can't really capture this in this film given the nature of it, but we spoke a lot about, hopefully, in the future, or through events like this, or whatever it may be, can also promote state parks and parks that are in our backyards, which we don't talk about enough, we don't show enough. And so hopefully it's also something we can take away, not just when thinking about the Grand Canyon, but also thinking about access to public spaces, access to green spaces. So hopefully that's also something we keep working towards as a legacy of the project.
Just throw in one quick thing to answer that too. This actually started as a slightly selfish project for me because I got into film because of music. So to actually have a piece land on the plate that was so centered around such beautiful music, that was a real reward.
All right, we have time for one more question. Right over here.
So, yes. Thank you so much. A question to follow up on this last one related to the end of the movie where you said, or it was written, to continue the dialogue and bring people of disparate opinions together. How can you use what you've done? Are there any plans for
I'm really glad you asked that, and yes, the URL did come up on the screen, Confluence, thejourney.com/connect. What we're doing is we're getting a little bit of information from whoever wants to opt in, and we will try to connect you to somebody from a different background and facilitate a conversation between you. We just believe that there's more that we have in common than what divides us. I think that more dialogue and more listening could go a long way. So that's the idea. Confluencethejourney.com/connect.